So, and DIT, IIT, NIST, and Microsoft established e-governance innovation lab also. What have been the innovations which have come so far?
I think that I'm not aware of the details of that, but I think some efforts were made to look at certain areas. But frankly, it has not quite come up to the expectations that we had in terms of looking at areas where there could be a substantial amount of process innovation and maybe technology innovation as well. So once again, I would say that this is an area where the objectives remain valid, but we need to revisit how those objectives can be met. I don't think that in any of these cases experience has shown us that the objectives were misguided or were incorrect.
So, and what will be the emphasis of DIT in the year 2010-11?
I think in the year 10-11, our effort will be twofold. One is to, now that the infrastructure is largely ready or near ready, to increase the availability of services and to fast forward the availability of services through this infrastructure. The second is to focus a little more on the security aspects of services which are being made available, and especially of all the different kinds of services which are made available through the internet. Because security is certainly one area of focus that has really come out very clearly and strongly in the recent past. The third element, as a part of our strategy to accelerate the availability of services, is to explore the potential for creating a shared platform for provision of services in the states and at other places as well, using technologies, trends which have emerged, like cloud computing, software as a service, and infrastructure as a platform as a service, and so on.
You just mentioned about cloud computing. What role do we see for cloud computing in e-governance?
I would sometimes hesitate to use the word cloud computing because it means so many things to so many people. But in the government context, I think it means something quite different from what it means for a private individual. For a private individual, cloud computing can mean a dynamic access to resources which can come from anywhere. Obviously, that is not going to be the case with the government, where concerns about control and security are always paramount. But there are many aspects of these technology trends which are relevant for the government, which are that many of the resources can actually be shared. If you look at a lot of the applications in the government, there are several components which are actually reused across multiple government departments. So even where different organizations or departments in the government are implementing different solutions, the availability of a government cloud in terms of data storage, in terms of components and other technical artifacts which can be used in service provision to fast forward the availability of services, there is, at least theoretically, a potential to use some of these trends to speed up the delivery of services. And since that is the goal of the NEGP, we are looking closely and in consultation with the industry as to how best we can use these technology trends to hasten the availability of the services. Having said that, theoretically it has a great deal of potential, we still have to see from a practical standpoint how far this will actually be, how far this can actually be leveraged in practice, given the way that the government also has to carry out its own business.
So, and DIT was also initiating the e-Bharat project with World Bank. So, what is the status of it? Is it still on, or?
The e-Bharat project is still under discussion with the bank, and we had in fact agreed fully with the bank on the program and the project objectives, and I think there was complete understanding by the bank also of the way that the government was looking at the whole program. We had, in fact, there was one issue on which there was a need for further discussions, primarily on the question of whether the e-Bharat would be supported in a program mode as opposed to individual projects being supported. Because we were of the view, and we remain of the view, that this is something which needs to be supported at a program level. And the second aspect was that for individual projects, the project owners or sponsors would need to decide on the mode of execution of the projects. For example, should there be a public-private partnership or not, how the project should be bundled, how the packages should be bid out. All of these would be operational decisions which would have to be taken by the project sponsors, and which cannot be predetermined across the board, independent of the project. So on these areas some further discussions have taken place, and I think now the effort is to identify an appropriate instrument of the World Bank system under which such an effort will be funded. So we are quite hopeful that this dialogue would fructify in the near future.
So, and National E-Governance Agency had given way to National E-Governance Division. What was the reason for this change of strategy, sir?
Essentially the view within the government in certain quarters was that while the objectives of the National E-Governance Agency were entirely appropriate, and the means and the mechanisms suggested were also appropriate, it was desirable to avoid setting up a new entity to begin with, and that it would be better to achieve these objectives using an existing agency as a vehicle, and then examine the need for hiving it off as a separate agency in the fullness of time. So accordingly it was decided to set up the NEGB as within the Media Lab Asia itself, and over a period of time, after watching its functioning for at least a couple of years, to then see whether the necessity of having it as a separate independent agency still was warranted.